Hello and welcome to another episode of Down and Dirty that's brought to you by Poocho, a research productivity tool to collect and analyze consumer conversations at scale. Today I have with me John Richard. John is a consumer insights manager at Practo. His professional journey started in research in 2016. In the initial years, it was inclined towards FMCG. His forte now is brand health track and brand advocacy. He's helped many companies score on brand advocacy. He's also transcended now into lean management. In fact, he's a Lean Six Sigma certified, yellow belt, green belt,
Yellow belt right now, but
yellow.
yeah,
Moving towards
right now,
black, moving towards
yes,
black.
yes, yes.
He's a huge fan of Rajnikant and Jim Carrey, and as he puts it, these movies have always been a go-to for him in his times of trouble. So this is where he goes to unwind, Rajnikant and Jim Carrey. Great choices, by the way. John, it is great to have you on the podcast.
Taapsi, thank you.
I'm very excited to learn a little bit more about you because I don't know much about you. There are some people I've had on the show in the past who, are people I've known. So there's always been that familiarity, but we've met professionally a couple of
Mhm.
months ago, and I thought it would be a great opportunity, the podcast, to dive more into your work and your life as a consumer insights manager. So let's jump right in. And for me and everyone else who is going to be tuning in to this podcast, can you give us a sense of a day in your life?
So I'll give a prelude of what I did, and then like
Mhm.
how I moved into
Yeah,
consumer
sure.
rights, and then I'll like explain how the day in my life goes on. So I used to like tell funny stories. I mean, like I used to be the guy who like keeps the gang around, and then like keeps the mood light. And
Okay.
then that transcended into a lot of like work. I was trying to explore what could be like
Yeah.
at the initial few years of my life. And then a friend told me that there is something called as research. This is
Hmm.
not marketing, but like it is similar to what you're what you like. And it is just that here you're going to like use humor, over there you're going to use numbers, or like actual words from consumers. Why don't you give a try about it? And then went into Nielsen Academy, and then the journey started with Nielsen. And my like typical day like starts around at 7:30, and then I have to, daily commute to the office. So, Bangalore being Bangalore, it occupies a lot of time in commute. And then,
Right.
it's a lot of, like, planning and, making sure that what is getting into work during the first half. It's since, I've worked with a lot of senior stakeholders within the company. So the first half is mostly into, like understanding what is there for the week, and
Hmm.
how we are going to like make the charters throughout the day. And so that's how the first half gets into. And then once that is done, so since I'm in research, so I start off with secondary research. And then it's like a huge desk research that has to be like trying to understand whether if whatever that we are trying to bring in the market has some potential to like not just understand what the consumers say, but like what does the business say, and how the the government says. Because since we are in healthcare industry, government is also another like a very
Right.
plays a very crucial role over there. So we make sure that all these are considered, and then the insights are coming in. So a lot of time gets into like secondary research. And then a typical secondary research like 5-10 years ago, you have to like you don't know what is head or tail. But right now it is like easier with search GPT, and like Bard and Gemini, all of that. That's how my day goes on.
So you're spending a lot of time um doing research, and this research, so that's, you would say, like on a regular basis, just doing desk research and making sure that you're on top of both what the government is, following its mandates, that is also in line and in sync with what data you are collecting as a team
Exactly,
on
exactly.
consumer insights. Okay, got it. And in addition to doing research, are you doing other aspects of, how big is your team? How much of your time in the day are you spending managing people as well, as part of your job, in addition to doing research, or any aspect of your job that's outside of research? Is that also taking up some of your bandwidth?
So apart from stakeholder management, it is like interaction with a lot of agencies, it's because we've outsourced our, like tracking studies and our, consumer interaction sessions with a lot of agencies who are available in the market. For example, Poocho is an example of an agency. And we, make sure that a lot of data request goes to them too. It's because we have a set of performance indicators for the brand, and then when we are trying to like explore into a space, we like have already certain perception measures of what consumers think about the brand or about the particular segment that we are catering into. If
Right.
that is not, we inform the agency. I'm an individual contributor, so I inform the agency that this has to be like getting into the branded track or as an ad hoc like survey that has to be sent as a disbursement. And then we like understand from them. If the data comes in, then like again it gets into a lot of licensing in terms of explaining them how do I want to see the data, what is the cross tabulations, and then what is the demographics that like are inclined towards a particular service or a new product that we're going to launch in the market in the healthcare industry. So it's people management too. I don't have a team per se, but
Yeah.
a lot of like people management comes into my role, and it's mostly like agencies outside, and plus a lot of like stakeholders within the company. Like I'll have to interact with product, whether if they've already like I mean like they've experimented something, and like was there something done in the past in a similar manner.
Yeah.
They'll have to understand with analytics. It's because yes, the consumer data outside is gives you the raw feel of it, but your internal analytics data also like tells how your consumers like currently behave
Yes.
to your service, and then like if we have the potential, what could be the inclination towards it.
Right.
So you will have like indicators and then metrics to get it from them. So interaction with all of these people happen, but like this, I could like get it done in an hour or something. But it's morely me and my laptop and
Yeah.
the Google like space. We just interact a lot.
Are you uh not familiar? Are you trained in both qualitative and quantitative?
Yes.
Great. So that's a pretty important skill set to have, especially as we're moving more and more into the space of data analytics and research. Then not just collecting the primary data, but being able to stitch it together with your existing data analytics, and also, like you said, being able to predict and plan for what else do we need to fill in the gaps. That is a different kind of skill set that I imagine is also in high demand and will continue to be so for the near future in the space of research. So tell me something. Can you explain to me what is Lean Six Sigma?
So it's actually two different like methodologies. Lean
Okay.
is helping you to remove waste.
Yeah.
Six Sigma helps you to reduce variation.
Hmm.
So both the concepts were different altogether, but then like the industry thought that there is a space to like for both of these methodologies to combine and to be
Got it.
together.
Got
So
it.
lean was something that was like invented way back,
Yeah.
uh, mainly Toyota. The
Yeah.
Japanese like gotten the idea of lean, and so lean comes in different ways. Okay. So lean comes in, they call it as Timwood. The word is Timwood. Transport, inventory, waiting, motion, over processing, over production, and defects. These are the different types of waste.
Hmm.
So these ways can be, like applied, or you can, like find this in across industries. It is not just, like these heavy manufacturing
Yeah,
industries,
not
but
just mine.
it also gets into, like tech as a company.
Yeah, yeah, for
Do
sure.
you, like read a lot of what is it called codes? Do you, like go
Yeah.
through thousand lines of codes, and then even for research too, qualitative research.
I would love this to be anchored in the context of what it means for researchers, right? If there's anyone who's watching this, should they look at this? Should they consider it in the context of research? Would love your thoughts on that very quickly before we get into our stuff.
People, I mean, like people right now as we speak would use, like some, methodology of lean in their life, but they wouldn't know that this is something lean management.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if if I have to look at qualitative data,
Mm.
we have, like thousands of transcripts. We
Mm-hmm.
have so many words to, look into the consumers. And
Yeah.
then more than, if I, rewind this research industry 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, most of the time of the researcher is, like going into listening to the transcripts again and again.
Yes.
And, listening to the actual audio and then transcripting it.
Yes.
And then the team of, like transcriptors came. And then still you'll have to, like go through the entire,
Right.
2 hours
Right.
of interviews.
Yeah.
So, so I mean, like utilizing technology to help you reduce that time.
Hmm.
So that is also motion. So how they quantify motion is that any person who has to, like move unnecessarily from one place to the other within a warehouse, that is the, bookish
Yes.
definition of motion. But now it is, like evolved. And then
Yeah.
even if a person has to, like go through thousand lines of codings,
Yeah.
the effort that is put is almost equivalent to walking across,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
different
Fair enough.
places
Fair enough.
in
Right.
a warehouse. And this particular thing is what they call as a mouse trying to find the cheese.
Yeah.
This is the classic thing that they say. It's
Got it.
because if you're not able to, like
Yeah.
get things at the right place, then this is how a mouse will run, right? It'll go from one place to
Yeah.
one room to the other across, and then,
Yeah.
like will hunt
Correct.
for cheese. So that
Right.
is what usually happens as, qualitative researchers do.
Yeah.
So then comes, like I can take, for example, if I may take Poocho as a platform. So when you guys were explaining to us that how we could,
Yeah.
uh, look at in effectively, like turning the voice of the consumers into, actionable insights that we want, and then you guys had the solution.
Yeah.
So where if I want to look at a particular, a segment within the, interview,
Yes.
there was a solution. So
Yeah.
that's how you guys are, like eliminating lean in motion. So you're
Yeah.
helping, like researchers to save their time, as well as, like utilize more time in putting their brain into, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how the story is going
Yeah.
to pan out. Instead
So
of,
it's
like
bringing in efficiencies into the
exactly,
research process, and we're bringing in efficiencies. I mean, for anyone who is, thinking about this, like you said, they are already probably doing some of this, and this is just a formal structure for you to become
exactly,
aware of, hey, these things that you're doing are making you more productive, or they're
exactly,
reducing waste, or increasing speed, agility, right?
exactly, exactly.
Efficacy. Okay, I understand. So tell me something in your work that you do right now at Practo. What are, or actually, let's go even beyond Practo. In your work
Mhm.
as an insights manager, what are some challenges that you face in bringing your best to the table?
So if I have to, like tell you, the challenge that lied, like till to 2022 was there is abundance of, data available
Yeah.
in the, in the internet. So you will not know which is the right metric at least to take out. See, it's because mostly each company tries to, like provide a sponsored research.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the agency, though being unbiased, they'll have some kind of a way to, like engineer data and then say that X brand has X number of consumers retained in the last quarter. But when we, like look at the number at a bird's eye view, it would tell a different picture. But
Right.
since those are, like
Yeah.
sponsored, the data gets slightly engineered, and then, like, and at the end of the day,
Yeah.
agency does that. I mean, like, has to do that to make sure that it tells that this is where it is, and then they try to help those brands accentuate their, sales or be it
Yeah.
revenue, whatever
Yeah.
it is. Now, if there are too many information across. So for example, let us take this example. Total number of robots, and recently I saw Transformers as a movie, so that came
Yeah.
as top of my mind. Let us take robots as an example.
Yeah.
Okay, in order to understand how many robots are there in the current industry,
Mm.
if I have to, like before 2022, if I have to go, I'll see 1,000 results,
Yeah.
which would be audited, and then which would have numbers not even, like close to each other.
Exactly. Exactly.
So even if it is like, for example, report X, like says there are 2 million
Yeah,
robots and report Y
yeah,
says there are 2.2 million, you just do an average and then give a estimation that there is
right.
a possibility within this range.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But where, and that's what brands want at the end of the day. They want actual numbers from us. They want to know where do I have the scope.
Yeah,
Again, we tell them there might be a chance of, like it is there, this is there,
yeah,
that is
yeah.
there.
There's
No,
this big
we won't be
margin of
helping them.
error.
Exactly. And that also increases. The margin of error increases, like you rightly said. So post 2022, because of this, like wonderful, thing invented called ChatGPT, the way you like search, it doesn't go like this, but you go deep inside what you want. So the layering, like happens easier and easier.
Okay, I have a comment about this aspect of ChatGPT, and we will come around to this. But
Mhm,
give me. I would love to know the other side of it. So, okay, ChatGPT has helped solve some of the, because again, desk research is a big part of what you do, as you already established. So, making sense of a lot of data, I can see that being a day-to-day challenge for you or anyone who
mhm,
is spending a lot of time doing desk research. On the flip side, what are some things that have enabled you both professionally, you're doing the certifications, a different way of looking at the world, a different way of looking at your own workflows, let's say.
mhm.
What has enabled you to do your job better? But it could also be personal stuff, so it could be anything. It could be enablers, influencers, traits. What helps you do your job better?
So uh, this was in 2019, like just few months before the news of what is it called, the COVID-19 pandemic. And so I was introduced to this concept of 5S.
Of what?
Sort 5S.
5S, okay.
This is a Chinese, I mean, like Japanese concept again of lean. So which speaks about sort, set in order, shine, and standardize and sustain. These
Okay.
are the five things a lot of companies use. Now, if you look back, you would have also utilized this somewhere.
Yeah,
Sorting is making sure that everything is there, like in its place before you start the work.
yeah.
This in French cuisine, they call this a there is a nice term to it. Before like starting the work,
Yes,
they
yes,
cut
yes,
it.
yes, yes. I just read it. They were talking about ratatouille, and then they were talking about kitchens and how everything is, all the ingredients are right there that you need. Yes, and they actually incorporated this in the cartoon movie. It was a research study that I was reading where the researchers, before they did ratatouille, did that. They went into professional kitchens and they saw this process and they brought that into the film.
Ha. So that is sorting again. This like it's just that how these like different industries do it. They have that culinary name. I mean, like it's a French term. I found it really difficult to like say it, and recollection is also not happening. But I think like we can put it like somewhere down so that like
Yeah.
the viewers could like
Yeah.
watch it and then get benefited. So sorting is the first product, first like step of it, and then comes set in order to make sure that every process is one after the other. So if you're going to like attack a particular concern in your business, okay, which is related to removal of waste.
Mm.
Now, what are the different types of processes that you're going to do? So you keep it in two phases. You currently measure what is the as is state,
Mm.
and then you understand from the voice of the consumer that there is a potential trouble in this particular state, and then you understand what could be the to be state of it.
Yes.
So this entire process, you make sure that there will be different processes to like attack it
Mm.
and then like improve it. So that is setting in order. So each
Mm.
process comes after the other, and it is hassle free. It shouldn't be again like a mouse trying to find a
Yes.
cheese.
Yes.
Okay. And then comes shine, which is making sure that your entire place is clean.
Mm.
So this is mainly coming from the manufacturing space, but let us take like as like let's take IT as an example, or like qualitative research as an example. We'll have too many transcripts.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
have like
Organized, disorganized, labeled,
exactly.
right?
So
Yes.
so sorting. So when you do your sort properly, it becomes clean. So
Yeah.
it means that, like a clean, they say, right? A made up bed is always, like making sure that you
Yeah.
don't have anything in this world. At least you have a made up bed, and then, you
Yeah.
go back and then
Correct.
crash over
Correct.
there. So making sure that these are done
Yeah.
clearly, at least at the end of the day, you know that, okay, there are a lot of troubles, but I know where the trouble is right now. I can
Yes.
open it easily.
Correct.
So that becomes, like shine.
Yeah.
And this mainly the process called cleaning is again from manufacturing space where there will be grease, there will be oil,
Yeah.
there will be,
Yeah.
like nuts and bolts everywhere. And then the next process comes as uh, it's called standardize, which means that you've identified a initial pilot, and then that has given you an improvement, be it in a restaurant,
Yeah.
or it could be, like the way we, like process data and qualitative
Yeah.
research, or it could be, like you're making a food. So you
Yeah.
standardize it,
Mhm.
and then you implement it across your,
Yeah.
like chain of outlets
Yeah.
or your branches.
It's a scaling solution. You can only
Exactly.
standardize once the earlier parts are done, so you know what to standardize and how.
And then comes, like sustain it,
Hmm.
making sure that you often check it,
Yes.
and then, like
And you
see
follow
whether if
it.
it is working out. Yeah.
Right, right.
So the best mantra they say is no process is like a work of art. It's not a Picasso. There is always room for, improvement.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what so this was, like something that I was learning. And
Hmm.
then that helped me to, like enable in terms of, like improve my work easier.
Wow.
So like that was the time when I was, like transcending into a researcher into an insights person, because I was moving from Bangalore to I was moving to Mumbai to a company where I was the kind of insights personnel for their marketing team.
Hmm.
So they'll come back to me asking that, listen, John, we are planning to do something on, like electric cars in the European market. So here's the data. There is our data. There is also data in the internet. Make us a white paper. And then basis the white paper, we will launch the conference. So this method was, like helpful for me, and I was implementing. I didn't know Lean or I didn't know Six Sigma at that time. And I come back to, like my hometown. Once the lockdown happened, I come back to my hometown. And then I see in a school, I was closely mentored by a correspondent of a school at that time. We were trying to, I helped them launch a product for them for their workers. And I open their diary, I see this 5 years over there. They have a diary which says sort, like all of this. And even they have to the extent of how many glasses of water have you, like drank today. All their teachers have that.
Yeah.
So they make sure that, like they tick it. And then that school was, not just focused on teach this A, B, C, D, or 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. No, they were looking at holistic development of not just the students, but also the teachers. So they were trying to, implement this. So it's like, like connecting the dots, and then whatever you're learning, you're when you see it getting implemented in other places, you feel that, okay, whatever that I'm doing right now is in the right way.
Yeah.
And that I mean, like, how do I put it? That makes you, like cling on to that particular, process that you're doing, that enforces it. So whenever you get a validation from outside and from a huge institution, so you feel that, like what I'm doing is right. Let me, enforce it more.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
So this became your superpower in
Yes.
2019, and then of
Yes.
course that was the beginning of your journey towards discovering Lean, Six Sigma, and it all nicely fit together. I find it very insightful that for someone who deals with a lot of data on a day-to-day basis, aka messiness, because data is always messy, data can tell you anything you want to get from it. So it really comes down to looking for the right data and making sense of it in a way that is true to what the data is trying to say. So for someone who's dealing with the messiness of data, and you moving from research, which is data collection, let's say, to a large part, to insights, which is synthesis and analysis of that data that's been collected, that methodologies like this are, you leaned on methodologies like this to help you out. It makes sense that this stuff would help you because of what your day-to-day life was like, as you transition from just researcher, data collector, to processor and analyzer of that data. So that's great. I mean, that's it's
some of the stuff that you're saying makes me realize that there's some things of this that I'm already doing, and you've given me a framework to think about it and want to learn more about it now, because now that I know that, oh, it's documented somewhere, and let me go see what else am I missing, like what else could I do. So that's sparking those ideas and thoughts in my head right now. So let's switch gears and tell me that in the context of bringing efficiencies and optimizing how you do your work on a day-to-day basis, what are some artifacts that you're touching on a regular basis? They could be online or they could be offline. But what are some tools, platforms, apps, things that are helping you do your job?
So if like realize I was continuously, like mentioning this timeline 2022,
Yeah,
because that's when, like ChatGPT was,
ChatGPT,
like
of course.
getting
Yes,
getting
yes, yes.
into the,
Yeah, yeah,
context. But
yeah,
initially there were a lot of, like apprehensions of why should I, like use it? Like what is the context? I mean, like, would it give me the right, like
yeah.
data, or is it just using us to, like make it more, like
Which is
intellectual?
true.
It is. It is.
Yeah,
So I was, like, there were few apprehensions initially, and then there was one of my, like, not colleague, I would say, but he was a guy who was, like taking these lean management, like courses at that time. So we did a white belt course at that time. So it's anyone can do it actually. I would suggest a lot of people to take it. So if you go to sixsigmasociety.org, the white belt, it is for free.
okay.
So that's a course that, like you can just go through it, and you will realize that, a lot of things that is said over there, you're already implementing.
Yeah,
So right now you would, like have more, clarity on why you are doing that. So I
yeah,
would suggest that to a lot of people. And so he used to tell me that you don't have to, like type in all the sensitive information into ChatGPT. But since we are trying to, like understand how this category is going to work, or how it is, like going to get into in the future, what could be the forecasting, let us try understand that, because either ways we are going to use Google. Let us see how ChatGPT is going to help us. And then like I was still, like having my reservations about it. Okay, what if the data was not right? And even if you note right now, ChatGPT will throw a disclaimer that all answers thrown by ChatGPT might not be correct, so kindly cross check it.
yeah.
So, so two things that we, like as researchers look out for is data, and then we look out for sources of it, whether if it is audited.
Correct.
So, so the first time when I was trying to understand, like a healthcare, like space within India, so I was, like trying to do a lot of desk research on one particular, a service that we were planning to offer, and I was, for the first time, I was feeling like, okay, uh, I don't have to, like switch into a lot of tabs.
Correct.
So the tool is, it's like, like how I interact with you, Tapsi. It's instead of interacting with you, I'm just, like saying, I this is a funny thing I do. I was like, I type hi ChatGPT, and then I
Okay.
click enter. It's like, like I'm interacting with it,
Yeah, yeah.
and
So
then
now
I
you're
start,
getting into dialogue. Right, exactly. So that's your
exactly.
cue for the dialogue. It's hi ChatGPT.
And so more you think of it as a like those AI, I mean like an artificial as a human who is, like going to
Yeah.
do it. Then the way you ask questions, right? The clarity that you give in questions would give it more clarity in answers that it is going to give.
Mm.
So, for example, like again with robots as an example, the reason why I was curious was after seeing Transformers, I just, it's like, okay, let's understand, like, why, how many robots are there first in this, like,
Yeah.
globe. So I asked ChatGPT, like, how many robots are there within the industrial space? And I define it in this way. Give it to me from an audited source, and I need the source file of it. So
Mm.
it gives me, like either in bulleted forms. I even give inputs like give it to me in bullet points or give it to me in paragraphs. And then, like I ask them, give me sources of it. So it gives me the initial, like hooks or the data that is needed and the source. So I directly click the source rather than seeing what is the inference from there. Because when you know that there's a call out mentioned that all answers from ChatGPT might not be, you know, like true. So you inspect the source first. And I go there and then, like read through the numbers. And then again, I ask another question. Are you sure whether if you have given me the right data? Then it again comes back to me saying that, okay, let me check again. And then sometimes it comes back to me saying that, no, there might be, like a slight variation and there's a better report which has more recency of, like timeline.
Oh,
So it
that's
throws
interesting.
answers in that way.
That's really interesting. So that is, so for someone who's doing desk research, ChatGPT really is beating Google search, because Google search just gives you the answers, right? Because there's that conversation in the industry, right? Like, is ChatGPT, going to replace search?
Yes,
And the reason being that, one, of course, there's the dialogue aspect of it. You feel like you're talking to somebody because of the way you can cue it. But there's also the sense that it's not only collating the information for you, it's even giving it to you in the form that you want it. If you want it in
exactly.
paragraphs or bullet points or whatever, how table form. But then also it's giving you the sources, because sources matter a lot to researchers.
Exactly.
It's giving you the sources, and then you can ask it to check those sources, or basically, confirm its accuracy by asking it a follow-up question. And this was going to be my comment and question, when you first mentioned ChatGPT, and I said I have a question on that. And it was around facts, because we do know ChatGPT can hallucinate. But it seems like, from what you're saying, that this is how you're trying to go work around that, saying you're asking for sources and you're asking it to double check the references that it's providing, and it's satisfying you and the work that you need to do. Correct? Would that be fair to say?
Exactly. Exactly. So in this manner, the time that you're going to invest on doing the desk research
Mm.
would be usually 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
But when you are able to, like accentuate that into a 15 to a 30 minute, like timeline, and then you then understand how this data can be utilized for the business. So earlier it used to be like how you want to create the hypothesis basis this.
Mm.
So a lot of time gets into understanding the data and then creating the
Yes.
hypothesis. So that takes a lot of time in the
Yes.
work. So when that is, like accelerated,
Yeah.
then you have, like only, like a lot of time to invest. Think that, okay, this is what the data is saying that the category is going to, like grow at 24%.
Yeah.
Now, me as a person who's going to launch a new product, or is it my existing product? How can we, like leverage that growth? You start thinking, you invest your time over there a lot.
Right.
Which brands want? If you're in the agency side, or if you're in the, like if you're in working for the brand, and then like that's what your stakeholders would want. That's what your product team would want.
Correct.
That's what your analytics team would want, or your business leaders would like want to see.
Yeah.
Hey, this is where like we can tell them, because they want that one number at the end of the day. And what is the confidence? Are
Correct.
we going to gain 20% of shares from this, or are we going to gain? They need some kind of a number. It's because that gives them the confidence to
Of
like
course. Of
take the
course.
money and then like invest on it.
Yes.
So
So
this is
when
how
did
it
you
is.
when did you start playing around with ChatGPT?
2023 April.
So
I'm
it's
very
been
sure.
just over a year and a half now, actually.
Yeah, yeah, year and a half.
And would you say that, okay, so how often now are you going to ChatGPT on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, depending on your cadence? Like, how often are you interacting with ChatGPT?
Mm, I would say I would take my time off every once in 2 days, or 3 days. I'll take Wednesday as a hard stop. And then I'll also take Friday as a hard stop to, like interact half an hour with ChatGPT. The reason is, you know, uh, I like deal with a lot of voice of consumer daily. So we have daily surveys that goes internally to our consumers, and then we see what they are saying.
Mm.
And sometimes there are too many open-ends.
Mm.
So the closed-ended questions, like gives you a clarity of there is trouble with related to,
Yeah.
a particular process in reaching a doctor. So the trouble is over there.
Mm.
But what is the trouble? Mostly comes out from the open ends.
Correct.
And like So I can give you a rough estimate of we have more than like 400 to 500, like data that comes in for one particular business unit. So we've got, like several work streams like that. So that is thousands of data. And then when you roll that number, it becomes a lot. So to go through all of that again, like it gets into the waste management of motion. So you go through it and then you, like
Yeah.
code it, bucket it, and then
Yeah.
count it. So I take those and then, now I know the overall objective
Yeah.
where I can, identify that there is a trouble in this X process. So I define that process and then I feed this open-end data over there. And then I ask ChatGPT that what do you think that, like would be the, possible word clouds that can be created from this.
Mm.
So hence it creates a word cloud for you. There were, like portals that are doing, but right now I just have one place to, do everything. So it will first generate me word clouds and basis that I'll be able to understand which is the, like trouble within that process.
Oh, so
Then
word clouds is from the transcript. You're putting in the
yes, exactly.
transcripts and then into ChatGPT, and it's generating word clouds for you.
Exactly.
So that you are getting, you're leaning more in the direction of what is the trouble as opposed to just there is trouble in this area.
Exactly. And once you get that, you can, like get into a rough estimation of what could be the percentages that can be associated with it to see a weightage for it.
Mm.
And then once the data comes in, I manually check those data, whether if it is, like for example, the wait time is higher at, like before, like seeing a doctor. If that particular word has, like 40%, what I try to do is I just do a simple, search and filter and then see how many times a word has come in.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so that would, like easily get me, okay, this is where the, top two concerns are. And then, like let me take this and then send it to the operations team who are doing this. See, this is something that is breaking here. And internally, we do have, metrics. So we check that and then that's when the magic happens. So voice of consumer says something, internal metrics would have, like some kind of a trouble over there.
Mhm.
So voila, the intersection, the magic happens, and then you tell them, improve it.
So instead of using tools to do word cloud generations, let's say, now you can just do the whole thing in ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So are
Not
you?
just that,
Huh.
ChatGPT goes into an extent where if you want to create a image
Mm.
of a process, it will do that for you. It will give you a rough image.
So, okay, so we should see that. That would be great to see in your screen share. So we should get into a screen share. And here, I'm going to give you access. I would love to see this part. So let's continue with this example itself. You've put in a transcript, you've generated some word cloud. Let's assume that's happened, right? And now, what is this process image that you're talking about?
Um, so let us understand. Okay, let us think about the scenario where there is a sales, process that has to be implemented. Now, that is going to be for a new process altogether or a new service.
Mm.
So how does it usually happen? We will have some other, like learnings, like uh, there is there is a service to, like let us take an example of surgeries.
Hmm. Hmm.
Surgeries is something that is new, a brand is going to, like implement,
Yeah.
but they already have, like a service to book appointments.
Ah.
So they can take cross learnings from here,
Yeah.
but also they can, like do how other companies are doing it. They
Yeah.
can, like do mystery audits, understand, like how they are doing it. We can go fill in their lead generation forms, and then, like the data would, like go to them and they call, and then we can understand what are they inquiring about. So that helps you to create similar, metrics for your process. Then once you define that, and then, like you tell them that I would need a pictorial representation of it, ChatGPT goes to that extent and then, do it. It's because I was doing it for one of my lean projects.
Yeah.
So they give you practice data. So the
So can we
certifications,
do that? Can you like do a share screen and can
yeah,
we?
yeah, I can do it. Yeah, yeah, I
I
can do
would.
it.
I know this is. I don't know if this is what you were going to share, but now I'm so interested in how you are incorporating, because that was going to be my follow-up question. Can you give me an example of how your lean way of looking at things, right, and reducing wastage ties into how ChatGPT is helping you do that, because ChatGPT can help in a lot of different things. I'm interested in what your needs are.
Yeah, sure. Am I having access to share?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, then I'll, like share my screen. Are we seeing this?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So here we are, and yeah. So okay, let us, like I'll just give you an example. The robots as an example. I'm just typing what are the total number of industrial robots in the industry in oops, in globe. And then I type give me audited data from sources and links to the same. Double check the data for its accuracy. This is how I do it. And then it thinks, voila, the answer is here.
Right?
I've just clicked the link. Do you see the other link too?
Yes,
The
yes,
other
I do.
screen?
Yep, yep,
Okay,
yep.
so now it says, like IFR, International Federation of Robotics,
Yeah,
and it says, like there's a press release and record of 4 million robots in factories till now.
yeah.
And okay, now if I want to, like understand it by different, uh, what is it called? The sectors within the space, I just, like again ask it a question. So can you give me a idea of how different industries pan out, you know? And then again, it, like throws me a thing.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then again, when you understand that, like the data is from a particular source, which means that it is a reassurance that, like it is getting validated.
Yeah, yeah.
And now if I have to, like type something related to, can you give me a pictorial representation of this data in a creative manner? It loads a image for you.
How do you use this? Do you actually use the images directly in your reports?
Uh, Sometimes to, like present.
You do.
Sometimes I use it. I use the framework and I recreate my own.
Ah,
So
okay.
it's not that, like, so it's it helps you to, like, I wouldn't say solve the entire creative process, because it is not just numbers or, like data that we are trying to tell at the end of the day, but it is interactive stories which should be in,
Right,
like good presentations.
right.
So this is not going to eliminate the entire creative process,
Yeah,
or it is going to, like replace people in the creative industry, but
yeah,
this can give you, like, for example, a person like me in the research industry. Okay, I have to, like make interactive reports and creative
yeah.
reports. So this helps me in solving my time for 20% of how I can actually
How
make
you,
a report, instead
yeah,
of investing that time, like in
that's
thinking,
right. That's
should
right.
I put a pie chart or should I put a,
Yes.
like a map? What
Yeah.
should I do?
Good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. It's fast tracking your. It's giving you visual cues already,
Exactly.
and then you can build on it. I love it. Okay. So, and multimodality in in GPT, right, models is already something that is being talked about. The fact that, hey, we should be using different kinds of outputs from ChatGPT, not just text and give it to me in bullet point form and table form, but things like give me pictures, give me a chart, give me a pie chart, give me a. So these are uh, this is in that space. So okay, so this is great. Is there anything else that you want to show or highlight in terms of what you use ChatGPT for? You mentioned something about process. It visualizes processes for you.
Yeah, I mean, if for example, I think I've done this for one of my thing. If I'm able to, like bring it out, it's good for me. So once again, let me see. Yeah, I think it's this. Yep.
Ah,
So this is one of the data, like this is a, what is it called? A play data that the course gives you.
okay.
And like I just feed the data of, like how so the activity was, so all these what is it called? These certifications will have exams and activities equally. So
Hmm.
each will have equal weightage, so that they not just like test you in terms of what is this and then what is the textbook answer for it, but also they evaluate you. Do you really understand when it comes to like implementing it in a project? It's because a company is going to invest lakhs of money on a person who's going to like provide them this
Yes.
advice. So they give you this like play data, and then once they give, so this is an example for a cyber security company
Hmm.
that is like planning to create a new sales generation
Okay.
process. So this is the data that is already fed into ChatGPT, and then like you get what they are doing. So I was trying to get a executive summary of it, understand what is the pricing model for it, and then what could be the rates for it, and then so the entire, what is it called, time invested on creating an executive summary gets like trimmed.
Yeah.
So you again like spend time on how you want to tell the story right now,
Hmm.
instead of
Correct.
writing it first and then
Correct.
deciding what the story should be. That
Right.
is getting sorted. And the next thing is, I want to understand what is the sales call process. That is also like getting summarized. So that story is getting like dealt with. Now pictorially it can be helpful. So what I did was show this as a diagram. This is what I did, and then it starts like giving me all of this.
Right. Right. And
Now
this
the better part
information,
is, if
sorry,
if you
just
feel like like there is too much of images, I told
yeah.
them, can you make it slightly simpler? And then I
Uh-huh.
told it, remove the background images and then just keep it in this way. So finally it just gave me a simple picture.
Got it. So tell me something, this example of it generating a process, was this already in the data that you fed it, or did it build on it and give you a process out of the data that you fed?
It did the latter. It built the
Wow,
process.
that's great.
And then so what it is doing is, so it is getting, since a lot of data is already fed, so
Yes.
it has an understanding of how the
Yes,
sales
of
process
course.
would be. So we are giving them data in terms of what are the process that we went through. A person
Yeah.
called them and they were, like mailed about XYZ. If you give it, I mean, like if you give ChatGPT the right inputs, right, it will help you, like accelerate all your process.
Yeah. Yeah. That is pretty great, where even if you're feeding it the information, it's going way past summaries and bullet points, and because that is one part of it where you fed it data and you say, help me look at it in a certain way. But it's another thing to generate different types of output from it, which has nothing to do with the data actually present in it. It then becomes, the data becomes context for it to give you
Exactly.
the desired output, which I can see being so valuable in research and insights as well, because all of us, we're sitting on information that somebody needs to act on, the agency needs to act on it, which means what comes next out of the raw data that you feed it. Lovely. Okay, great, John, this was very, very insightful. I think this has been great. I have one question for you before we get into the rapid fire round. That
Mhm.
question is, because you're in this space of optimizations, wastage, and managing all of that, uh, are there no I know also that this is no longer a new space, like lean approach to things is easily, I want to say, what, at least 20 years old now. So there are tools out there to help you optimize your day, daily calendars, optimize your work, optimize your time, like break it up into chunks. There are all of these different. Do you is chat gpt the main tool that you use when it comes to acting out more
No,
efficiently, or are you using other things as well for lean?
and actually, like, so part of, like lean is where you try to understand Python.
Huh.
So Python recently said that, I mean, like when I was trying to deep dive into it, it says that you can create your own things using Python. So creating in the process of creating what is it called, the daily management tool for myself. So
Ah,
that is something that I'm experimenting with, because I am kind of a early adopter to technology, but I still, like wait for some cues to, like hear out, and then I adopt technology. But this is the first time when I know that I am having the, like what is it called, enablers to create something on my own. I'm trying to test out that too.
that's great. That's great. Okay, yeah, because that makes sense. You're in this space. I can see you wanting to adopt this in life, general. Like, forget just work. So this goes way beyond work. It's a way of life and a way of living. Thank you so much for all of that. Okay, are we ready for the rapid fire?
Yeah.
All right. Name one item on your bucket list.
Professional or this thing?
Anything you decide. Let's go personal.
Skydiving.
Okay, excellent. Which social media platform are you personally most active on?
Instagram.
Okay. What comes to mind when I say happiness?
Happiness. My pet.
Okay. Do you own a vehicle?
Yes.
Which one?
So I have a Royal Enfield. It's a cruiser. So I go on, like weekends. It's these long trips, 80, 90
Nice.
kilometers sometimes.
Okay.
And yeah, that's it. I love my
Lovely.
cruiser a lot.
That's great. Okay, so I told you that would be super painless. John, once again, this was amazing, so insightful, and I learned a lot. And I'm very excited to look at least a white belt in the Six Sigma on the Six Sigma website. So I will go check that out. And thanks for doing this on a Saturday. And I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much for having me here, and wonderful day to you too. That's
Thank you. Bye.
good day.